that's nothing new that I'm pretty sure people they've always say, to the parents, get involved, get involved, get involved. And, we might hopefully in other topics probably get more into detail on how you can really get involved, because that's the thing, is being afraid to step up or being afraid to this, because we're at the same time trying to live a day-to-day life, and we're trying not to tamper with that, I guess you could say. So stepping outside, it seems like get involved and go and do this and go that. That it's a scary thing, especially when you have kids and all that. But it shouldn't be excuse. It's a constantly daily thing to educate yourself, and not just really, really do the studies. Don't listen to your comadres and your compadres,
Yeah.
and because that's where a lot of times we get
Misinformation.
misinformation, misunderstanding. We're just kind of blabbering off, and oh well, I heard from this and I heard from that. Yeah, it's a good conversation. You want to add something on?
I actually do. I just wanted to say a couple things. First off, let's not forget that we are our worst critics. And in order for you to do something great, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Think of all those great people that did things. They had to step out of their comfort zone. You watch movies, whether it was Frida or the Hidden Figures movie, all those great people, they lived at times where they were even discriminated, but they didn't care because they felt something and they knew something, and they stepped out of the comfort zone knowing that maybe it was or wasn't going to work. But guess what? They did. And thanks to the people that stepped out of that zone, we have many things these days, you know, and so that's very important to do.
So summarizing it, at during your time, you had to step outside. Your mom knew she wanted you to have a better education, not have the lifestyle that you were surrounded by. So she had to take you to these schools at the time. You had to take a lot of grief from, from your own culture. You were kind of slightly you were discriminated by your own culture,
Yeah.
but you still kept on moving on. You say your family was pretty much what kind of kept you intact on your culture,
Yeah.
and now you're saying now, whatever school you're in, if you want your child to achieve, to participate and help out and just be involved, and that's the key, just be involved,
Yeah.
whatever way, whatever how. And I know that excuses that I've heard, and I don't want to call it excuse, but because it's slightly legitimate, a lot of the parents do have, these very tough labor jobs that they go home and they're tired and, mentally exhausted and don't have that energy to do that, I guess you can say. But at the same time, it is a thought that, hey, what you're working hard for is why are you working hard for? In other words,
Yeah.
you're busting, you're working very, very hard constantly for your child to grow up um, on the streets. In other words, all that hard work that you're doing, all that hard labor that you're doing, eventually gonna get tainted. I guess I don't know if it's tainted, but it might just go down the drain, because now you're draining yourself. That your child is now deep on the streets, deep in drugs, and now you don't know what to do. We're just talking something to think about, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. Is anything else you want to add?
No, just basically, thank you for allowing me to talk, and hopefully, I help somebody who's listening.
For you listeners, please comment. This is just all for sheer entertaining, but also just to kind of have your mind thinking. We might be right what we're saying, we might be wrong what we're saying. It doesn't matter. The thing is that we just want people to start thinking. Don't get, just really distracted on the music and watching TV and all that. That's fine. It's a relaxing thing, but at the same time, we want to stir up that mind. And, definitely education, as you can see, this is definitely the main topic out of this. Discrimination, especially discriminating on your own culture, and for those that, I guess, now jumping on the discrimination, let's be real. There is certain people that are from the race that, I say muy creídos. We've seen it, and I think that's what sometimes probably what you got the bad end of it, because there are people that are, how you say, que won't even speak Spanish language. They speak poorly English, but they refuse to speak Spanish. You know those people that we're
I
talking. You
know
know what I
those
mean?
people.
You know what I mean? So how can we move about that? Yeah, and because that's something that might steer somebody up when they see that. Any suggestions or anything
Well,
or?
unfortunately, I in my line of work, I've encountered that before, and just in life, you can't change another person. However, you can kill them with kindness. So if you talk to them in Spanish and they pretend they don't know Spanish, you can, ignore it, or you can make a cute comment like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you look like you spoke Spanish. I thought, because of your accent, you spoke Spanish, but." What a lovely accent you have. Where are you from? And that usually shuts them up. I'm just saying, don't go out and do that, but that's been my case.
Yeah.
However, you said discrimination. Let's not forget that every race discriminates against their own race. Discrimination is everywhere, not just in our Mexican culture. I'm pretty sure I wasn't the only person that got discriminated. Other races discriminate against their own race because of the stereotypes, as you just mentioned right now, stereotype of creídos. And, there are stereotypes within our culture and other cultures, and each culture has a stereotype, and each culture discriminates their own race for various other reasons. And
And
that just exists,
and
unfortunately.
that was actually something that we talked about
We
previously
did actually
about categorizing.
categorizing
How we
amongst their own race, they
Yeah,
categorize
if it's not that if it's not that you're from, oh, is de Mexico or is de California?
a specific state in
Oh, yeah,
Mexico.
I'm from Salinas, I'm from San Ho, I'm from Michoacan, I'm this soccer team.
Yeah, it's either the soccer team, or because you dress a certain way, or because you like banda, or because, you're
Correct.
short, darker skinned. I mean, there's always discrimination. Within every race, there's discrimination, If you really think about it, and I don't want to go into those stereotypes, but if you really think about it, each race, if you sit and think, okay, what do they say about each other within amongst that race, and even our race does that. And discrimination, the only way that's gonna end is it starts with you. You don't discriminate other people. Don't judge a book by its cover. Just because a person looks a certain way, that's how they are.
One of the things that helped me out a lot, when you see somebody is really trying to know somebody, learn, in other words, this is how they are and this is how, their ways, and so kind of having an understanding on how people are, you just kind of say, okay, well, this is how they are. I can move on. So if they're, angry person, okay, that's the way he is. Like you said, kill him with kindness. That's all you can do. Offer him something that he might not even have, or she. And understanding that, in order for you can move on and not let it eat you,
Yeah,
because sometimes we feel like we need to show them or prove them, or how you say, like, teach them a lesson.
yeah.
He's this way or she's this way. I got to be the one that teaches them a lesson. And sometimes it's just understanding and move on. And
Water
yeah,
off your back.
yeah, something off your back, you're able to accept it, and look at the good things and the bad things. I mean, just really don't allow somebody else really get you, especially anything negative. You know what I mean? Surround yourself by positive people, of course.
Yeah.
But either way, just accept the way they are. And in the meantime, educate yourself, improve yourself, better yourself, and take some sacrifices. You, as a parent, that you guys are listening, hopefully that you are getting involved with your kids' education, and if you are working those hard hours, I definitely, you know me, Kitty Cat, that I work those
You work very hard.
yeah, 14 hours and sometimes, and even just showing your face uh to the schools, or just reading up. You always have time to learn something.
One last thing, you said sacrifice for the parents, but also sacrifice for the students. Because if the student wants it, they need to sacrifice, whether it's time from your friends, time from your mall, time from your phone. You want that better education, you also have to sacrifice, not just the parents.
Yeah, and you can. You can try to enjoy life right now, but unfortunately, it will catch up to you in the
It
future,
will.
and it really will catch up to you in your future. It will really be hard. It might be exhausting. It might be tired, especially when you're seeing everybody having the greatest time in the world. But the thing is that you got to understand that that world, especially for you guys that are in middle school, high schools, if you're listening in, that world's gonna be gone. It's you'll move on, and everyone's gonna do their own thing. You're gonna have a job or whatever, and there's gonna be another chapter in your life and different people. And so the thing is that don't get too caught up into whatever the social thing. The number one thing, and this is what never goes in whatever generation, is the education. Because I know that was one of the things that I've heard too is, well, my parents can't afford college, and I know I'm not going to go far from that and this and that. It doesn't matter what it is, just do it.
Try.
Get on Nike and just do it.
Yeah.
And you never know what doors will open.
Yeah. You
You
just
know.
have to try. You don't know what you're capable of doing if you don't try.
Exactly. And then at the end, forbid that what you didn't get in that college or you didn't whatever, but you know what? You have more knowledge than you had before. And that's more powerful than anything, just having knowledge, constant knowledge. And like Primo said, you're always constantly learning. You're constantly learning, in school, out of school. So thank you, Kitty Cat. You know,
You're welcome.
it's getting kind of dark, and but thank you again, and definitely gonna get you on the mic for another topic. So,
Anytime.
all right, listeners, if you're listening in, please leave comments. If you're too embarrassed to leave a comment for people to see, send me a personal comment. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. So if you have any other topics that you think that we should talk about, please hit me up. Or if somebody that if it's you or somebody that that might want to get on the mic and talk about a certain topic, let me know. Go to Masa for the Raza. Hit us up on Facebook, on Instagram. Our channels are on YouTube right now. Join our YouTube channels and SoundCloud, but just mainly YouTube. And so that's Masa for the Raza. And Instagram, Masa number 4 Raza. All right. Talk to you soon.
Good night.
Wait, did I say talk to you soon? Why did I say that?
I don't know.
I've always had problems.
Just say till next time.
A rato.